This is the story of Cabot, the town, the creamery, and the farmers who belong to Agri-Mark, the region's premier cooperative. Although that initial group of just under 100 dairy farmers has grown to more than 1,200 family farms throughout the Northeast, that original spirit, pride, and love of dairy farming continues today. Here at the Liberty Hill Farm in Rochester, Vermont, the Kennett family tends to their herd of Holsteins. Bob Kennett is mostly retired. Sons David and Tom are now in charge of daily operations and always have more than enough to do.
Twice a day, the cows have to be milked every single day, 365 days a year, and it takes at least 8 hours, 4 hours in the morning and 4 hours at night, just to milk the cows. And then you have all the other things you have to do. Yesterday it was getting in firewood. Next month, we'll start with field work. So there's always something to do. It's never dull, never boring.
Liberty Hill Farm also takes in guests for a farm stay vacation. Beth Kennett and her family have hosted more than 1,000 visitors.
We started it because of the farm economics, and we've really continued it because of the relationships. And that opportunity to really share with people what it's like to live on a farm. When you come here, you come and you're part of our family for however long you stay. Some of our guests enjoy participating in chores and go down to the barn, and some of the guests never get to the barn. But none of them leave without having a different awareness of what farming's all about.
Life centers around the well-being of the herd. Today, after morning milking, the girls are getting pedicures. Tom Kennett really can tell them apart.
All right, you got Smurf and Sasha, Poughkeepsie. You got Seabreeze, Poquito, Char, Pocket, Splish, Knickers, Peppercorn, Beverly, Juno, Rhonda, Poinsettia, Sky, Noel, Sunbow, Paprika, you got Shady, and just more black and white cows.
We really care about our animals, and we care about what we're doing on the farm. And most people just, they grab a jug of milk and they don't think about Pixie and Precious and Paisley. And how hard they work to provide that milk.
Life is similar on the Fletcher farm in northern Maine. However, their milking barn looks a little different. Painting it buffalo plaid, that was Edna's idea.
We were driving through Vermont and New Hampshire, and you could see remnants of advertisings on the barns. I'm sure you've seen them. But I just got the idea. I said, wouldn't it be great to paint the barn Cabot plaid? And my husband said, are you crazy?
The barns make a bold statement, like the packaging.
It's a great way to advertise the product that we're so proud of making, being part of.
Milking here starts really early. The first cows are hooked up about 3 a.m.
We've got approximately 250, 260 cows that need to be taken care of every day. Between maintenance, there's stalls that need to be bedded, barns need to get cleaned every day. We've got young stock that needs to be taken care of. The day is pretty full. We take care of our cattle because they have to take care of us.
Walter Fletcher and his wife Edna started farming here in 1980.
It's a struggle sometimes, but when I look around and think that I started with 6 cows and no land, just 6 cows. And here we are today. We've got 500 acres of land. I've got a herd of cows that, we're pretty proud of. We've got a family that's interested in continuing to do what we do, so we must have made an impression on at least one of them.
Austin is one of 3 offspring. He came back to the farm after being gone a half-dozen years, and now he's in charge. He has good help, and his mother Edna looks after his young son while his wife is at work.
I have a lot of pride in this place. I grew up here and I've seen a lot. The changes have come through the years and upgrades, and being able to work with my mother and father and just the family values of it. It's a good upbringing for me, and trying to I guess thought it would be a good way to raise my family as well.
This way of life is reminiscent of the first Cabot farmers who came from a rugged rural community. The town of Cabot was settled during the Revolutionary War. According to a distant descendant, the town's name is the result of a passionate romance.
A fellow named Lyman Hitchcock was a soldier in the Revolutionary War. He and some other soldiers were given an opportunity to buy a lot of land here in this area. And he came up here, and after he married a lady called Sophia Cabot, he persuaded his other towns members to name the town after her, which was a very nice thing to do.
Over time, the town of Cabot grew and prospered, supporting sawmills, grist mills, and dozens of dairy farms. In 1919, 94 farmers decided to band together. They put up $5 a cow and a cord of wood to operate the Cabot Creamery.
My grandfather, I guess, was one of the ones that invested in the creamery to start it. You know, there was a bunch of farmers that gave second mortgages on their farms to get the creamery going, which was kind of a gamble at that time because they didn't know whether they had the market or not.
Well, fortunately, it turns out there was a market. The farmers shipped their milk to Boston, Concord, New Hampshire, and to cities in Connecticut. Milk and cheese made their way down the Hudson to cities south of here. The creamery grew and added products like cottage cheese and sour cream. In the early 1980s, the farmers of Cabot began making a series of modest investments. They built a visitors center and joined the tourism industry. In the early 90s, Cabot merged with Agri-Mark, the leading co-op in the Northeast. Pooling resources allowed Cabot to expand outside of New England, making it possible to market its products all along the eastern seaboard. With the merger came a butter plant in West Springfield, Massachusetts, and the macadam brand in New York State. Those cheeses are produced at a plant in Chateaugay, New York. Some of that milk comes from traditional Amish farms in the area. Cabot refurbished an abandoned cheese plant in Middlebury, Vermont, and now makes cheddar and whey powder there. In 2011, Cabot enhanced its logo to reflect all the farmers who own the cooperative. Most of Cabot's cheddar cheeses are still made in Vermont, in Middlebury, and at the site of the original but much expanded creamery.
Milk comes in on the truck. We do a test on that milk to determine that it's safe to unload. We unload it into one of our silos. From the silo, it gets pasteurized.
The milk is then piped to the cheese vats, where a starter culture is added to build acidity. The milk ripens here for about 15 minutes.
Then we add a rennet to it, which is an enzyme that coagulates it so that it's like a big custard. That takes roughly about 26 to 28 minutes. The person will actually stick his fingers into the cheese at that point, and that's just a double check to make sure that indeed everything is working the way it's supposed to.
Workers use their bare hands because studies have shown that frequently washed hands are far more sanitary than using gloves. When the milk is ready, the paddle agitators slowly begin to do their job.
The paddles agitators serve two purposes. They actually stir the curd and they actually cut the curd.
The cheese cooks for about an hour. Then the curds and whey are transferred to the finishing tables. When the whey is drained off, the sugar goes with it, which is why cheddar is lactose-free. Whey is saved for use in all kinds of products as a valuable source of protein. Cabot tries to put all byproducts to good use. Even the wash water is used to return nutrients to farmers' fields. Back at the finishing table, the curd is stirred so it won't stick together. When it has the proper pH or amount of acid, salt is added.
We had very little salt. We had 1.8% salt to the cheese. We add the salt to slow the pH down. It also is a preservative and it adds flavor to the cheese.
If flavored cheese is being made, this is when that happens. Today, peppers are being added for Cabot Pepper Jack.
In order to get all the flavors into every little piece of cheese, you have to make sure that all the cheese balls are broken up. And that's the reason why you see the people still putting their hands in there and breaking it up.
Once it's ready, the curd is transferred to an auger and sent by vacuum up to the finishing towers.
It goes into the top of the towers as curd, comes out 20 minutes later in a 42-pound block of cheese.
The cheese then heads into a vacuum chamber where all the air is removed and then goes off to be boxed. The cheese is not done yet. It's transferred to a climate-controlled aging room where it's treated with care.
It has to be handled correctly in that first 72 hours in order to have the cheese come out with the correct flavor and body and texture that you're looking for at the finished product.
Every single vat is graded by hand. Age determines whether the cheese is mild, sharp, or extra sharp. Just a very small percentage of the cheese ends up being private stock or vintage choice. Once a week, the cheese from one vat of milk from a single Cabot farm is reserved for Jasper Hill Farm.
It's been one of the most exciting collaborations in the American cheese industry. Have Cabot Creamery, one of the biggest cheesemakers in Vermont, and Jasper Hill, one of the smallest, and we really have taken the scene by storm. After the cheeses arrive at the cellars, we brush hot lard on them, turn them every day for about a month until they grow a handsome natural rind, and at that point they're ready to move into this beautiful vault where they'll mature for about a year.
Cabot may still be most famous for its original award-winning cheddars, but other products are made here at this plant too, like the light and flavored cheddars, cottage cheese, sour cream, dips, and yogurts, including the popular Greek style. Being a co-op, it's all about giving back to the community. Cabot has rewarded community volunteers as the real celebrities with cruises and also a bike tour from Miami to Maine. Then there are the random acts of cheddar. They often feature Cabot and Mrs. Claus.
We had a whole week down there to give out the cheddar to whoever we felt like, whoever deserved it, whoever just looked like they needed a piece of cheddar. We stopped some bicycle tours along the road. We'd stop at fire stations and police stations and thank them for all the good work they do.
We had a little card that we could give out that said random acts on one side and a little explanation on the other, and it explained how grateful the farmer owners are for the goodness that people do everywhere in their own communities.
The Cabot Clauses also visited a very large food bank in Washington, D.C.
It's a huge, huge place. They process 30 million pounds of food a year. And we were there to not just honor the staff who works there, but also to support the many volunteers. 100 people a day from the community come to help out.
The farmers are the owners of their co-op. They meet annually, region by region, to participate in the process.
So 5 hill visits this year, and I like to think that Agri-Mark has made a difference.
Together we can market our milk a lot better than we could on an individual basis. We rely on haulers that work together. We rely on our neighbors in production for corn silage even, and we know the cooperative effort from the grassroots up, and it's rewarding.
When I talk about Cabot products, I can do it with such pride because it's from our family to your family, and really mean it.
The farm families who own Cabot encourage folks to stay in touch online through their newsletter and website, which features farmer profiles and a vast recipe library.
There aren't too many cooperatives that run a branded business and have had the success that we have. We've got a great product, we've got excellent quality. Consumers appreciate that.
And Cabot thanks you. Your purchase of our products means the world to our future.